Welcome to Switch Moments, brought to you by Brave Switch and Young Wealth Management and Estate Planning Company Limited. Today, we'll be talking about the advantages of making a will. Recently, I watched a video on social media, precisely YouTube, where a child was asking the father if the father had made his will. At the point where the father was about having his dinner, taking the first spoon of his meal, the child presented a question. He paused like he was frozen. And he looked at the mother, looked at the daughter. Is there some conspiracy here? Is somebody trying to kill me? That was obviously the question in his eyes. It was so obvious. And that tells us how the issue of estate planning is perceived and interpreted in our setting as a people. In Nigeria particularly, when you talk about estate planning, wills, the next thing you hear is, I don't want to die, I'm not dying. Okay, forget that issue when the time comes. In fact, some people tell you, I don't have anything yet, let me work and make money. When the time comes, I'm going to plan my estate, I'm going to write a will. But it's quite difficult for a child to tell the father, Daddy, I think you should write your will. Or tell the mother, Mom, have you considered writing a will? Have you considered planning your estate? The father starts to suspect the child. The mother starts to suspect the child. Or the father suspects the mother suspects the father, depending on from whom the question is coming. In order to cut the long story short, let's quickly delve into the benefits and the importance of making a will. First, it takes away the problems that comes with intestacy. Intestacy is a situation where somebody dies without making a will, without having a will. So what happens? The family members would have to approach the court to obtain letters of administration, depending on the number that they are, in order to be able to distribute the properties of the person that died, be it their father or their mother. What we're trying to say here is that you leave so many things in the hands of the family members. For instance, a child might want a particular house, and the other child might want a particular investment account. Now, who concedes what for the other? But these are things that ordinarily you would have determined, or you could have determined in your lifetime. So there are a lot of problems that comes with intestacy, leaving your properties in the hands of your beneficiaries to determine or decide how they want to distribute it. So you need to save them all that headache. You need to save them all that stress. The second point we would like to mention here today is that it gives you the opportunity to be able to appoint your beneficiaries. How do I mean? That is the people that would inherit you. So you can, if you have a will, it means that you can specify, you can list out the people that can benefit from your estate. You can put your spouse, your children, your brother, your sister, your cousin, a church, a mosque, a community. You can benefit anyone that you please. But if you did not make a will, I do not think that family members would ordinarily want to benefit a church or a community or a mosque, whichever way you want to look at it. So it is important that you make a will so that you'll be able to name your beneficiaries as you desire. So another advantage of making a will is that you keep unintended beneficiaries away. So there are some persons that ordinarily in your lifetime that you would not even think of benefiting from your estate. So by making your will where you have listed specific beneficiaries, it is on record. So no other person would come from the blue and say, I have a right to this particular property or to this particular asset and all of that. So Basically, it helps you to keep unintended beneficiaries away. Another advantage of making a will is that it gives you the opportunity to appoint your own executors, your own personal representatives. How do we mean? Your executors are those persons that will run with your instructions, that will give effect, give life to your instructions. So all the things that you would have spelled out in your will, it is the executors that you have appointed in the will that will be saddled with the responsibility to put to effect those instructions. So they will be responsible for distributing your estate the way you have said that your estate should be distributed. So if you have named 10 beneficiaries in your will, the executors would ensure that everything that you have stated in the will that should go to A, B, C, D, E, F, G would go to them. None of them should miss out from your estate. Appointing an executor, or appointing executors as you would say, is very, very important. In fact, it's one of the most important things you have to do when you are making a will. Another advantage that you want to look at is that it helps you to decide on distribution, how you want your estate to be distributed. So basically you have investment accounts, you have bank accounts, you have houses, you have farmlands, you have cars, you have jewelry, you have different kinds of property. So where you are making your will, you would be able to say or state how those properties should be distributed. But if you do not have a will, how will those properties be distributed? It means that you have left it in the hands of persons that also have interest in the estate, interest in the properties to distribute. So that there is possibility of what? Of conflict amongst family members. And that is very, very true. So this leads us to the next point, which is the fact that making your will fosters peace amongst members of the family. Instead of allowing them to, exercise discretion over emotional and sensitive things, you would have taken up the responsibility to do that in your lifetime. So it helps them to maintain peace and order in the family. Family members do not have to fight each other in order to get something out of your estate. And importantly again is that it helps you to avoid loss. Some people have vast estates, a lot of properties, a lot of investment, a lot of funds in terms of cash and all of that. And some of these investments would have been done when they were very, very active even before they grew old. Even they themselves may have even lost count of the investment that they had. But at the time of making your will, you would be made ordinarily to list out the assets that you have. Another thing you want to really consider is the fact that sometimes, or most times, even your family members might not know all the investments that you have. Your wife or your husband might not even know, your children might not even know all the investments that you have. Some people I have seen in practical sense, after making a will, they even forgot some of their properties and they don't include it in the will. It was through an amendment of the will, which is the codicil, that they were able to bring in those properties, to feature those properties in the will. So if you, as an individual that owns this asset, is capable of forgetting some of your properties, what about people that are not even aware that you made those investments or that you even own those properties? So which means that if you do not make a will, you stand a chance of losing some of your assets. And whoever have control of those assets can continue to enjoy control of those assets, and your beneficiaries can be in severe lack. Another point that one would like to note here is that it gives you the opportunity to appoint guardians. So where you have young children, for instance, when you make a will, you can appoint certain individuals that can take care of your children. You can also appoint trustees where you have a child of, let's say, 2 years when you are making the will, and you're about to give this child, let's say, 100 million naira as the child's bequest or legacy, you obviously don't want to commit 100 million naira in the care of a 2-year-old child. You want to consider appointing trustees who would hold the funds and manage the funds until the child becomes an adult, maybe 18 or 21 if you deem fit, and you can now instruct in the will, you can instruct the trustees to transfer the assets to the child when the child becomes of age. So yes, a will gives you the opportunity to be able to appoint guardians or representatives or trustees to manage, hold and manage assets on behalf of young children. Another important point that we have to mention here before we close this presentation is that you, as the testator, the maker of the will, it gives you peace of mind. It helps you to find some peace, to know that yes, in your lifetime you have put things in place. You have decided on how your properties should be distributed in the event that you're not alive. So yes, making a will is very, very important. You want to consider it. Do not shy away from making a will. Yes, we understand that when some people talk about will, you think you are talking about death. No, it has nothing to do with death. You're only planning so that when the inevitable happens, you are not caught unawares. Your family members are not subjected to suffering. We've seen situations whereby somebody did not make a will and people come from nowhere and cut away with properties and subject their family members to abject suffering. Making your will saves a lot. I hope you have enjoyed this video and you have learned one or two things. We will come back again with another interesting topic where we will break it down and dissect it for your easy understanding. Thank you very much.